Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay.
Okay, very good morning to everyone. On behalf of C. Abdul Hakim College of Engineering and Technology and the Department of Science and Humanities, it's my proud privilege to be extend a very warm welcome to you all to this webinar on cost-effective thin film technology for environmental applications. It's a moment of great honor for me to extend a hearty welcome to all of you today. At the outset, I welcome the today resource person, Dr. K. Ravichandran, Associate Professor and Head, PG and Research Department of Physics, AVVM Sri Pushpam College, Pundi, Tanjavur. Your being here is a source of inspiration for us, sir. I also welcome all the participants across the various places in India to this webinar. I hope this session will be very informative to all of us. With these few words, I once again extend a very cordial welcome to one and all. Thank you. I over to Ubaidullah.
Thank you very much, sir. So, let me introduce our chief guest today for this today's session. So, first of all, I am very happy and proud to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. K. Ravichandran, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Physics, AVVM Sri Pushpam College, Pundi, Tanjavur. He has published nearly 138 research articles in reputed international journals with a cumulative impact factor of 345. And among these publications, 100 articles have been published in SCI Index Journal. Till now, for his publications, he has got overall citations around 3000. His H index is 32 and I-10 index is 83. He has published 17 papers in collaboration with foreign scientists. He has got nearly 500 projects from different funding agencies like DST, CSIR, UGC, and Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Technology with the amount around 54 lakhs. He has presented around 162 papers in the state, national, and international level conferences. He has also presented his findings in the international Singapore, Malaysia, and UAE. Totally, he has guided 20 PhD scholars, and among these, 11 scholars have received state level and national level fellowships. He has got 2 Best Paper Awards for the Journal of Material Science and Technology. Apart from this, in recognition of the significant contribution for the advancement of sciences, he has been elected as Fellow of the Academy of Sciences, Chennai. He has delivered 42 invited talks in various colleges. He has organized nearly 22 workshops and conferences. Currently, he is acting as a reviewer for 30 international journals and as an editor for one international journal. Thus, with this short introduction, I am sure, sir, that all the participants, especially the young research buds, will motivate by your work and wish to achieve like you, sir. And it's a great honor to have you here for this webinar. Now, I would like to call upon our chief guest, Dr. K. Ravichandran, to take over this session.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Can you see the PowerPoint display?
Okay, sir. It's visible, sir. It's visible.
Okay. The title page is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, one and all. First of all, I would like to thank the conveners of this webinar, respected Dr. Yusuf Abdul Wahid, Professor and Head, Department of Science and Humanities, the Abdul Hakim College of Engineering and Technology, and Mr. A. Ubaidullah Beg, Assistant Professor of Physics, and my friend, and also the principal, the management, and the authorities of the college for having given me this opportunity to deliver a lecture in this webinar. I feel very much privileged and happy because to be a resource person, because yesterday Ubaydullah told me that more than 350 participants have registered for this webinar. I feel doubly happy because even from abroad, there are some registrations. Thank you. Thank you for all the participants. And I once again thank the management and the authorities and the organizing committee of this webinar. The title of this webinar is Cost-Effective Thin Film Technology for Environmental Applications. We are going to discuss what are thin films, how they are prepared, how they are characterized, what are the applications of thin films, and a detailed discussion on a specific application called photocatalytic dye degradation. Thin films are generally defined as a thin layer of solid material deposited on a solid support called substrate. In more technical terms, we can define it as a thin layer of material created experimentally by atom or ion by ion or molecule by molecule by a condensed process. Similarly, the deposition process, thin film deposition process can be defined as random nucleation and growth of condensing species on a substrate. Thin films are ranging from, the thickness of the thin films are ranging from a fraction of a nanometer to a few micrometers. Depending on the thickness of thin films, they can be classified into ultra thin films, and thick films. If the thickness lies between 50 to 100 angstrom units or 5 to 10 nanometer, they are called ultra thin films. When the thickness lies between 10 to 100 nanometer, they are called thin films. The films with a greater than 100 nanometer thickness are called thick films. During the deposition process, the thin films are grown through several stages, approximately 6 stages. They are called nucleation stage, island stage, coalescence stage, channel, holes, and continuous film stage. First, when atoms or molecules or ions are reached on the surface of the substrate, a nucleation occurs. That is, some nuclei are randomly formed on the surface of the substrate. Then, on the arrival of subsequent atoms or ions or molecules, the nuclei grow gradually into a larger size. They are called islands, and that stage is called island stage. Then, on the arrival of further species, the islands grow laterally as well as vertically. Laterally means the surface of the film increases. Vertically means the thickness of the film increases gradually. Then finally, we can get a uniform continuous thin film when the process goes through the channel and the hole stages. Thin film technology finds applications in a wide variety of fields. For example, in optics, selective absorber coatings, reflective and anti-reflection coatings, interference filters are deposited using thin film technology. In electronic and optoelectronic device manufacturing industries, this thin film technology plays a vital role, a crucial role in fabricating many active and passive devices like resistors, capacitors, diodes, transistors, FETs, MOSFETs, transparent electrodes, solar cells, and even light emitting diodes. They are also, the thin film technology is used in depositing anti-corrosion or corrosion resistant coatings and anti-erosion and wear resistant coatings. They are also used in synchronic devices and even in decorative, ornamental decorative coatings. This is the anti-reflection coating in spectacles. Thin film solar cells are generally called second generation solar cells. In thin film solar cells, an N-type layer, a P-type layer, and a window layer called a transparent conducting electrode window layer are deposited using thin film technology. In industries, anti-corrosion and anti-wear coatings are used in various spares and equipments. Transparent conducting oxide films like zinc oxide, tin oxide, indium tin oxide are used as defrosting window layers. They are transparent, they are optically transparent and electrically conducting. They are optically transparent as well as electrically conducting. Therefore, when a small current is allowed to pass through these window layers deposited on glass windows of buildings or cars, heat energy is produced due to Joule's heat effect, and thereby the defrosting occurs. They are also used as anti-repellent repellent coatings, defoggings in aircraft. Another important application, we are going to discuss it in detail at the end of this lecture, photocatalytic thin films. The effluents discharged from textile, paper, and leather industries consist of a lot of toxic organic dye molecules. Which are very much toxic to human being, not only human being, but also all living beings as well as the fertile lands. Even though there are several methods, photocatalytic is a potential method for the decomposition of these dyes. These photocatalytic thin films can be act as a potential candidates. The photocatalytic materials like titanium oxide and zinc oxide can be used as potential candidates for the purification of water contaminated by these effluents discharged from textile industries. The general mechanism behind the photocatalysis is when light of sufficient energy is incident on a photocatalytic material immersed inside a contaminated water containing toxic dye molecules, the photocatalysis reaction occurs. Therefore, electron hole pairs are generated from the semiconductor photocatalyst. These photo-generated electron hole pairs further produce the hydroxyl radicals, superoxide anions, and hydrogen peroxide. They are called reactive oxygen species. These reactive oxygen species consequently degrade the molecules, toxic dye molecules into non-toxic H2O and CO2. As a final result, non-toxic products, water and CO2 are produced in this photocatalysis reaction. We are going to discuss this application, this environmental application at the end of this lecture. Thin films can be fabricated by various methods. They are broadly classified into two types. They are broadly classified into two types. They are physical and chemical methods. The physical methods are further divided into sputtering and evaporation. In evaporation, there are several variants: DC sputtering, RF sputtering, magneton sputtering, and ion beam sputtering. In the case of evaporation also, there are several variants: resistive heating evaporation, flash evaporation, electron beam evaporation, and pulse laser deposition. The chemical methods are further classified into two types based on the state of the starting or precursor material. Thereby, they are classified into gas phase and liquid phase. In the case of liquid phase, there are some important methods we are going to discuss. Chemical bath deposition, SILAR, successive ionic layer absorption and reaction technique, and spray pyrolysis technique. This is the one of the important physical method called sputtering. In this technique, is it visible?
No, sir. You need to share. You need to share.
Now it's okay.
Okay, sir. Make it as a full screen.
Okay.
Okay, visible.
I'm trying for the pointer. Yes. In this sputtering technique, the apparatus consists of a vacuum chamber, which is highly evacuated using vacuum pumps like oil pumps and rotary pumps. The source material to be deposited as a thin film on the substrate is placed mounted as a target at the top of the chamber, and the substrate on which the film is to be deposited is placed at the bottom of the vacuum tube. In the high vacuum, inert gas like freon or argon is allowed to pass through the chamber. When high voltage, very high voltage of nearly 50,000 volts is applied between the positive and negative plates, then plasma occurs, and the positive ions of freon or argon gas then rush to the top of the chamber with very high kinetic energy and collide or bombard with the target, and thereby the atoms of the target are released and descend towards the substrate due to the gravity of its own weight and deposited or condensed on the substrate. Therefore, fast energy or high energy positive ions moves towards the target, and due to the kinetic energy transfer between the positive ions and the target atoms, the atoms are liberated or removed from the target and descend towards the substrate and deposited, and finally we get good quality thin films. This is one of the common physical methods. Then this is resistive heating, thermal evaporation or vacuum evaporation technique. In this technique, the source is placed at the bottom. In the previous case, the target is placed at the top and the substrate is placed at the bottom. Whereas in this case, the source is placed at the bottom and the substrate is mounted at the top on a substrate holder. When the source is heated, when high heat energy is applied to the source material, the source material is evaporated, and the evaporated species move towards the target, substrate and deposited as a thin film. This is another variant of thermal evaporation or vacuum evaporation. There is only one difference. All the other components are the same. The vacuum chamber, the substrate holder, crucible and the source material all are same. But only one difference is the source of heating. In the previous case, the source of heating is resistive heating. Here we use electron beam to evaporate the source material. The electron beams are focused on the source material by means of some magnetic field arrangements, magnetic coil arrangements. And therefore, this method is called the electron beam evaporation. Then another variant of this vacuum evaporation is pulsed laser deposition. In this case, in the place of electron source, electron gun or resistive heating, we use laser gun. A pulsed laser is pointed towards, focused towards the source material, and thereby the source material is evaporated and deposited on the substrate. All the previous cases are physical methods. Here, this is a chemical bath deposition technique, one of the very simple chemical methods. The cost of a sputtering unit is nearly 1 crore, and vacuum and thermal evaporation techniques units are nearly 50 to 60 lakhs or up to 1 crore. But we can construct a low cost homemade chemical bath deposition unit with less than 10,000 rupees. It consists of a magnetic stirrer with a hot plate, a temperature controlled system with a sensor, 2 beakers of different sizes, different diameters. The outer one is the water bath, consists of 90-degree temperature water. The inner one is the solution bath, in which the substrates are suspended or mounted, suspended from the from a system arrangement which is made up of some Teflon or inert materials. Due to the chemical reaction, thin films are deposited. Thin film material is coated on the substrate after even 20 or 30 minutes. This is called chemical deposition technique, chemical bath technique. Using this chemical bath technique, we have published several papers. This is one of the papers published in reputed journals using this technique. Photovoltaic properties of nanocrystalline CDS films deposited using CBD technique. This is another variant of chemical bath deposition technique. This technique consists of four beakers. First one contains the cationic solution. For example, to deposit cadmium sulfide thin films, we have to place cadmium chloride or cadmium acetate solution in the first beaker. The second beaker is filled with deionized water, distilled water. Then the third one is the beaker for anionic solution. In the case of cadmium sulfide, thiourea solution is placed here, which consists of S2 minus ions. This is again water bath, deionized water bath. First, the substrate is dipped or immersed into the first beaker. Then CD2 plus ions from the precursor solution, starting solution, are picked up by the substrate, and then after that it is dipped in the second water bath. Then the loosely bound CD2 plus ions are removed or eliminated from the surface, and only the strongly sticked cadmium 2 plus ions only survive after this dipping. Then the substrate is dipped in the anionic solution, where the S2 minus ions are picked up by the substrate. They are picked up due to the positive ion nature of CD cadmium ions. Then it is dipped in, immersed in another water bath, which removes the loosely bound CDS compound molecules. These 4 dippings constitute one cycle. We can continue the cycle repeatedly until the required thickness is reached. Therefore, the number of dippings determines the thickness of the films along with several other process parameters. We modified this Szilard technique. This is called modified or improved Szilard technique, designed and developed in our laboratory by our research team. We modified the technique using 4 arms and 4 substrates. Using this technique, we can deposit 4 thin films at a time simultaneously. There is a microcontroller based system. It is a microcontroller based system. All the 4 substrates are simultaneously dipped into the beakers. This is deionized water, this is cationic solution, this is deionized water, this is anionic solution. And therefore, we can get 4 substrates coated with the thin films at the same time. Then characterization. After depositing any thin film, we have to study the characteristics. First, the structural characteristics are generally studied using X-ray diffraction technique. X-ray diffraction technique is an important technique for the elemental identification. Therefore, the X-ray diffraction pattern is called the fingerprint of any material. By studying or observing the X-ray diffraction pattern, we can identify the element deposited as a film. Therefore, this is using this method, we can calculate the lattice constants. We can find the crystal structure, lattice constants. We can calculate the crystallite size using Scherer formula. We can calculate number of unit cells, per unit volume, and the volume of the unit cell. We can calculate the strain also, strain produced in the thin film also. Therefore, X-ray diffraction technique is an important technique using which we can study and calculate various structural parameters. This is the UV visible near infrared double beam spectrophotometer, which is used to study the optical properties like transmittance, absorption, and the reflection of thin films deposited by various techniques. This is the transmittance graph, transmittance versus wavelength graph, recorded using the UV visible NIR spectrophotometer for zinc oxide films. Then the surface morphology of the thin films can be studied using scanning electron microscope. This is the same image of a film deposited in our laboratory. For further study on surface morphology and the 3-dimensional structural properties, we can use transmission electron microscope, TEM. This is the TEM image of a film. And for compositional analysis, we can use energy dispersive analysis of X-ray, using which we can find the amount of substance, amount of constituent particles in the thin film deposited on a substrate. These are the papers published in various journals for the thin films deposited using these simple techniques, Szilard and spray pyrolysis. This is another simple, low-cost, user-friendly chemical method called spray pyrolysis technique. Pyrolysis means chemical reaction due to high temperature. Hydrolysis, like hydrolysis, electrolysis, this is pyrolysis. Electrolysis means chemical reaction by electric current or charge or voltage. Hydrolysis means chemical reaction by water. Here pyrolysis means chemical reaction by high temperature. Pyro means high temperature, lysis is chemical reaction. This apparatus consists of a spray gun, a solution reservoir, a compressed air container with control valves and pressure gauges, a heating source, a temperature controller with a sensor, this and the other connected accessories. This spray gun consists of two coaxial thick-walled glass tubes, of which the inner one is a capillary tube. One end of this capillary tube is connected to the solution reservoir, and the outer tube is connected to the carrier gas container. When carrier gas is allowed to pass through this tube to the outer tube using the control valves, the air or gas, compressed air, is rushed into the tube, and when it comes this point called a nozzle, here both the tubes are fused together to form a nozzle. When the compressed air comes at this point, Venturi jet effect takes place, and thereby the solution is sucked into this point and sprayed on the substrate. The substrates are maintained at an elevated temperature, nearly 400 to 500 degrees centigrade. When the sprayed droplets reach the surface of the substrate, pyrolytic decomposition, that is pyrolytic reaction, takes place, and thin films are formed on the surface of the substrates. By suitably or appropriately changing the concentration of the solution, spray rate, that is the amount of solution sprayed per minute, and spray interval, total spray time, distance between the nozzle and the substrate, and temperature of the substrate. These are the process parameters. By appropriately changing these process parameters, we can obtain thin films of different characteristics of our requirement. This spray pyrolysis itself is a simple technique, but in our laboratory, we simplified this technique further by replacing the gun, reservoir, and even compressor and the connected accessories by a simple perfume atomizer, that is perfume bottle. We filled the perfume bottle with the starting solution, precursor solution, to be deposited, and spray it on the substrate, which is at an elevated temperature. Then we get very good quality films compared with with those prepared by conventional methods. Using this simple technique, we have published nearly 25 papers in Science Citation Index journals. There are several advantages in these simple techniques: low cost, comparatively lesser substrate temperature in the case of perfume atomizer, no need for carrier gas in the case of perfume atomizer, fine atomization than the conventional technique, improved wettability between the sprayed microparticles and deposited layers. Using this technique, we have published several papers. Investigation on microstructural and optical properties of CDS films fabricated by a low-cost simplified spray technique using perfume atomizer for solar cell applications. The impact factor of this paper is more than 4. Fabrication of antimony doped tin oxide thin films by an inexpensive simplified spray technique using perfume atomizer. These are the papers published. I want to share one point with you. A team of researchers from Germany deposited thin films using this perfume atomizer, and they produce thin film transistors, spray pyrolysis of ZNO thin film transistors utilizing a perfume atomizer. Adapting our simplified technique, they prepared fabricated thin film transistors using the thin film technology, simple, cost-effective thin film technology. Further, in the 18 references they cited, three of the references are our papers. Three of our papers are our papers. Okay, now we are going to discuss a specific application called photocatalytic dye degradation by thin films. In Tamil Nadu, in Karur, Erode, Tirupur, and Coimbatore districts, there are several thousands of textile industries with dyeing units. They discharge tons and tons of effluents every day, every working day, every operating day. And even though there are strict regulations, some small scale and medium scale industries discharge their effluents without any purification or treatment. They contaminate the water sources like especially the Noyal River, which covers almost all the 4 districts. These effluents from the textile industries are highly toxic and consist of organic dye molecules. There are several methods to decontaminate or purify these wastewater effluents, but they are very costly. The operating cost is very, very high due to the power consumption and other operating costs. But photocatalysis is one of the potential method to degrade or decompose or decontaminate these effluents. We are doing research in this area, and we have published nearly 30 papers in photocatalysis, and I applied a proposal for the decontamination, purification of cost-effective purification of this textile industrial effluents by a simple method, and the project was approved, and I carried out the project. And the main objective of the project was to fabricate a prototype of cost-effective UV visible, operative, flexible photocatalytic meshes for the purification of toxic organic dyes discharged from textile industries. Using this project, we have designed and developed a specially featured spray pyrolysis system and 2 different photoreactors. And using these apparatus, we have deposited zinc oxide thin films, zinc oxide, graphite carbon nitride, nanocomposite thin films, graphite carbon nitride plus molybdenum activated zinc oxide thin films, zinc oxide, graphene oxide thin films, Mg plus reduced graphene oxide doped ZNO nanocomposite thin films, Ag plus GO activated ZNO thin films, and so on. We study the effect of pH, effect of light intensity, effect of exposed area, effect of thickness of the film, effect of aperture of the stainless steel mesh. We have deposited thin films not only on solid glass substrates, we have also deposited thin films on flexible stainless steel meshes. This is the uncoated stainless steel mesh This is the zinc oxide graphite carbon nitride coated stainless steel mesh. We can use this meshes coated zinc oxide graphite carbon nitride material, which is a photocatalytic material, coated meshes for the purification of textile effluents discharged from the dye units. In the first part of the work, we prepared the graphite carbon nitride, a material, semiconductor material, also a photocatalyst, having a band gap of nearly 2.2 electron volts, and found that the efficiency of the photocatalytic efficiency of the material is only 44%. Then we add zinc oxide along with the graphite carbon nitride and prepared nano composite thin films on the stainless steel meshes and glass plates, and we studied the influence of this composite on photocatalytic activity, and found that the efficiency increases drastically to 98, nearly 98%. Then we add molybdenum along with molybdenum and AG along with this nano composite system, and we found that the efficiency increases markedly. These are the meshes, thin film coated meshes with the different magnification, same images. We test the reusability and stability of the thin films deposited on stainless steel meshes, and we found that even after the fourth and fifth trial, the efficiency remains the same, almost the same. This is one of the papers published under this project. Cost-effective fabrication of zinc oxide graphite carbon nitride composite thin films for enhanced photocatalytic activity against 3 different dyes: methylene blue, malachite green, and rhodamine green. When zinc oxide alone is used as a photocatalytic thin film, the efficiency for methylene blue is only 74, and for malachite green it is only 82, and for rhodamine B it is only 61. But when zinc oxide graphite carbon nitride nanocomposite film is deposited on the stainless steel mesh, the efficiency increases tremendously to 95, 74 to 95%, 82 to 97%, and 61 to 73%. This is another paper, cost-effective fabrication of graphite carbon nitride plus MO, molybdenum, added photostable zinc oxide thin films for enhanced visible light responsive photocatalytic. Actually, zinc oxide is good photocatalytic material, but because of its wide band gap, it can work as a photocatalyst only under UV light. But we add these graphite carbon nitride and molybdenum. Even at the lower energy light, it is responsive as photocatalyst. This is the prototype of the photocatalytic dye degradation system designed and developed in our laboratory for this project, and we are trying for getting a final version. These are the papers published under this project. These are our research scholars completed their doctoral degree under this project: cost-effective fabrication of zinc oxide nanostructures, cost-effective fabrication of graphite carbon nitride composite thin films, and the EAG and the graphite carbon nitride and the MO doped films. All these researchers are my scholars, PhD scholars. These are my projects. So far, 100 papers are published in SCI, Science Citation Indexed Journals, and 37 more papers are published in SCI Expanded Journals. Thank you. For any clarification, you can ask questions through chat or directly. Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. Audible.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions you can put in the chat box. Any queries?
Sorry, if you any queries in the chat box, please read it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Sir, is the perfume atomizer also effective than conventional methods, sir?
Perfume atomizer?
Is the perfume atomizers are as much effective than the conventional methods, sir?
Yes. The thin films is regularly asked by several participants in several lectures. The thin films prepared using this simplified technique using perfume atomizer is comparable in all the characteristics with that of their conventionally sprayed counterparts. All the properties, even structural, optical, surface morphological, compositional, and magnetic properties are comparable with those obtained by conventional spray pyrolysis method. In one of my study, I compare the properties of these. I compare the properties of the films prepared by simplified spray pyrolysis technique and conventional spray pyrolysis technique, and proved that all the properties are almost equal for both the cases. And we already proved that the films prepared using perfume atomizer are comparable with that of their conventionally sprayed counterparts. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for your informative presentation, sir.
Sir, another question in YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Sir, please explain more about how to find out crystal structure by Square formula.
Shutter formula.
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. Yes. Please read again the question, sir. Please. Sir? Sir?
She is asking, explain more about how to find out crystal structure by Scherer formula.
We can, using the well-known Scherer formula, using the well-known Scherrer formula,
Yes.
which is capital T equal to 0.9 lambda divided by beta cos theta, is only meant for calculating the crystallite size of the system. Crystallite size, not structure, crystallite size. Thin films may be crystalline or amorphous. If it is in crystalline nature, we can calculate the crystallite size in nanometers using the Scherrer formula. To calculate the Scherrer formula, we have to take the full width of maximum of the preferential orientation peak. This is the preferential orientation peak. This is, I think, the zinc oxide thin film. The third peak is the preferentially oriented, the highest high intense peak. We have to find the full width at half maximum, which is called full width at half maximum. That is, if the height of the intensity of the peak is 200 or 2000, we have to find the thickness or width of the peak at the center at 1000 intensity. That is beta. Theta is the this value, the x-axis value. This is 2 theta. From this we can find the theta. Then lambda is the X-ray wavelength of the X-ray source used for the X-ray diffraction study. Therefore, by using the wavelength of the X-ray, by using the full width at half maximum and the angle, we can calculate the crystallite size of the material. But we can find the structure of the film using the pattern, X-ray diffraction pattern of the film recorded. From the each and every material in the universe has its own distinct, unique diffraction pattern. Each and every material has unique, distinct diffraction pattern. They are recorded by various scientists from 1947. The data is called Joint Committee for Powder Diffraction Standards. From the JCPDS card, we can compare our X-ray diffraction pattern with the database, and we can find what element or what material we deposited. By comparing the diffraction pattern with the database, we can find the structure of the system. But from the Scherrer formula, we can calculate the crystallite size in nanometers.
Okay.
Question?
Another question, sir.
Ah.
Please tell the best thin film semiconductor material
Mhm.
for photo electrochemical water splitting applications.
Yes, titanium oxide is one of the best material for photocatalytic dye degradation as well as photocatalytic splitting, water splitting. Titanium oxide is a costlier material. Therefore, zinc oxide is now taken up by researchers all over the world. Zinc oxide is considered as a best cost-effective alternative to the titanium oxide. Therefore, titanium oxide and zinc oxide semiconductor films are they are called wide band gap semiconductors with the band gap nearly 3.37 and 3.4. These materials are called photocatalytic semiconductors. They can be used for photocatalytic water splitting.
He also asked another question, sir. Sandhya Anandakumar. Please tell the best method of thin film deposition.
Each and every method has its own merit and demerit. For example, in the case of sputtering, the apparatus cost is very, very high, but we can get very high quality films. In Titan and other watch companies, they coat, they are coating the watch bezels and strips using this sputtering technique. Gold coating, silver coating are carried out using this technique. Cost is very high, but high quality films can be obtained using this technique. Moreover, any material of your interest, any material of your interest can be deposited using this sputtering technique. But the price is very costly. So it is a sophisticated method. But chemical methods are very simple, but relatively they are somehow a little bit lower in quality when compared with the physical methods. Therefore, each and every method, it depends. If you require a film, cost-effective film or low-cost film for some applications, we can go for chemical methods. If you require very fine quality exact films, then we have to go for some physical methods. Therefore, it depends on the requirement. The method, the method selection depends on the requirement.
Okay, next question, sir. Uma Sangam has asked a question. Explain the identification of face and map with JCPDF data.
Face and
Map.
map.
Yes.
Map.
She has put as map, MAP.
Face and map using JCPDS card.
Yes.
Face map. From JCPDS card has a 6-digit number. Each and every JCPDS card has a 6-digit number. If we deposit a film and record the X-ray diffraction pattern, we can compare this with the JCPDS card. First, we have to compare the high intense 3 peaks. If all the high intense 3 peaks, that is here in this case, these 3 are matched with a particular pattern in the record, JCPDS card, then we are already identified the element. For example, this is zinc oxide. This is an unknown material. We can compare these first peaks with the JCPDS card, and if matches with any material, zinc oxide, then it is called as zinc oxide material. Therefore, the material identification can be done. Face is different. In the case of zinc oxide, it is hexagonal wood-side structure. Sometimes cadmium films has 2 different faces, cubical as well as hexagonal. From the XRD patterns, we can find which face is in the material, either cubic or hexagonal. From the XRD pattern, by comparing it with the already stored data in the JCPDS card, we can find the face of the material, crystalline material, face. Okay.
Okay, the last question, sir. Selvaraju, crystallized size and particle size is same, sir? He is asking.
This is a commonly asked question. Who is the researcher asking this question from?
He is Selvaraju.
May I know his name and affiliation?
He has posted only his name, sir. K. Selvaraju.
Okay. Crystallite in thin films, if it is a polycrystalline thin film, it consists of several crystallites. Some of the crystallites combined together to form grains. Therefore, a grain can be defined as a superset of crystallites. That is, a grain consists of several crystallites, and crystallites are subset. Crystallite is a subset of grain. Sometimes a single crystal is formed as a grain, then the size of the grain is almost equal with the crystallite size. But generally, crystallite size is smaller than grain size. From the same image, we can find, for example, from the same image, we can find the grain size. This is grain. This is one grain. This is hexagonal. This is zinc oxide. These are hexagonal grains. We can find the diameter or thickness or length or width of the grains using the scale in the at the bottom. This is 200 nanometer. Therefore, we can place this 200 nanometer here. They may be 300. This diameter of this grain may be 300. This may be around 200. These are grains. Each and every grain consists of several crystallites. Crystallites are subsets of grains. Crystallite size generally falls in the range of 20, 30 nanometers. But grain size is 200 or 300 nanometers, maybe 200 or 300 nanometers. Therefore, grain, sometimes they called the grains as particles. In some researchers, in some papers, they call the grains as particles. When they are in powder form, they call it as particles. Therefore, particles and grains are almost the same. And the terms are alternatively used for the same thing, same entity, and crystallites are subsets of a grain. Clear?
Yes, sir.
We can calculate the crystallite size using formula. We can observe the size of the grain using SEM or AFM, atomic force microscopy images. From the SEM images, we can find out the size of the grains. From Scherrer formula using X-ray diffraction technique, we can calculate the crystallite size. Crystallite and grains are different entities, two different entities. Any other question?
No, sir. So we have covered all the questions so far, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank
We
you.
have all the questions in chat box as well as in YouTube also, sir.
Okay, once again, I thank the authorities, the organizing committee, the head of the Department of Science and Humanities, and especially the convener, Mr. A. Ubaidullah Beg, Assistant Professor of Physics, for having given me this opportunity. And I also thank all the participants who patiently listen my lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your informative speech.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Shall
I
I
think
leave?
I think the young research buds can utilize this opportunity for their future research work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All are
Okay, sir.
all participants are welcome to AVVM Sri Pushpam College Material Science Laboratory. We are there for you to help the budding researchers, young researchers. Even we deposit thin films for you at free of cost. Therefore, come to Tanjavur and utilize our facilities. We have spray pyrolysis unit, chemical bath unit, spin coating unit, and for characterization, we have scanning electron microscope and UV visible spectrophotometer and photocatalytic degradation apparatus. You can come and utilize these facilities, research facilities in our laboratory. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks.